Hello, beloved. It's me, Robin. Robin Hallett, intuitive healer and light sparkler at robinhallett.com. And this is Tea with Robin. On today's episode, let's talk about these days. I wonder if we're aware that this pandemic experience does have a cloak of energy that weighs on all of us. And sometimes we can feel a little down. So how do we rest and reflect in times like now? Our inspiration is coming to you from the beautiful Mary Oliver. And we'll have a letter from a friend who's wondering, how do I deal with trusting in myself and following what I want to do and the disapproval that sometimes comes from a spouse? We'll talk about all of that coming up now. Come grab a cup of yum yum and meet me here. Well, hello, gorgeous soul. It's me, Robin. Welcome back to the podcast, Tea with Robin. This is episode 129. Welcome back, welcome back. Friends, if it's your first time here, I'm Robin, an intuitive energy healer, friend on the journey. Love to do this podcast to help us learn, heal, grow, connect, experience community together, like-minded hearts, like-minded souls. I hope you find good things here, and thanks for giving it a listen. My gratitude to the friend who brought you here. Thank you. Friends returning, hi. How have you been? Did you have a nice few weeks since I've been on spring break? I hope that you've been kind and gentle with yourself, loving what you love, allowing yourself to be as you are. You know, some weeks are more intense than other weeks. I would say these last few, holy moly, there's a lot going on in the world. And in terms of the pandemic, more of you are going back onto lockdown, more restrictions again, and some of us they're easing up on things, but we have other stuff going on. You know, there's been a lot of violence in the U.S., a lot of gun violence, and that has brought its own intensity, I tell you. And, you know, just the regular stuff going on. It's easy to feel the heaviness, but not really know where it's coming from, and then mistake it for your own. And so it's doubly, triply, quadruply important that you love yourself, that you show up for yourself, that you allow you to have the days you need to be having right now. And that doesn't always mean kicking your butt down the hallway in terms of diet and exercise and hydration and, you know, all these things that we do in the name of self-care. It means being tender and mild and easing up on things for you. So I hope you have been that for yourself. How is the weather in your heart these days? I hope that you are being sweet and loving with yourself. You are precious cargo and you matter. Yeah. Yep. Over here, it's a gorgeous day. It's super gray out, but it's that purpley lavender I love so much. And the weather is pretty mild. It's in the 40s here. I can hear the birdies singing. The robins are back in full force. And, you know, 4 a.m., I can't help it. My bedroom is on an outer wall of the house, and it's like, wait, aren't they all kind of? Anyway, you know, it seems like I can hear a lot of noise outside, and the bird song has been just so beautiful. Sometimes I lay there in the dark smiling. I can't help it. I let this joy greet me of the little birdies singing their song at freaking 4 a.m. Thank you very much. You can wake up so not happy about bird song waking you up at 4, but then it just kind of comes over me, this beautiful thing, this bird. Yeah. I had a nice spring break time off. I just decided, I really needed to take a little time for me. Nothing has to be wrong for you to do that, I thought it was interesting to hear. It seemed like the assumption is there's something going wrong to take a break. But what if things are going right and you just want to change things up and enjoy your time and have some fun? And it was really lovely to have the weekends off. I told you I've been recording on the weekends, and I think I'm making another change again to do this work in the work days and have the weekends completely free. New thing for me because I've always been kind of a weekend worker. So got to roll with the changes as they change, I guess. So I'm doing wonderfully well. I've just been enjoying some lollygagging time, watching movies, reading books, reading poetry, playing with my garden stuff. I'm not really ready full force. It's only the third week of March in Chicago. It's not quite time, but we're getting close. So I'm cataloging seeds, getting a plan together, considering. And it kind of cracks me up because it's the first year I've really realized you only need like 2 zucchini plants to make it. You don't need to plant 30 seeds. I don't know why, but last year I planted like 40 tomato plants and 30 zucchinis for some reason. Like when you're learning, is anybody else learning or am I the only one? When you're learning, you get excited about things. And I've always been a flower gardener, so tons of flowers. And then you do tons of the same vegetable? Yes. No. Don't do it. So I'm planning like a few of these and a few of that. It's kind of fun. Yes, it is. So let us cheers. Did you bring some yum yum with you? Huh? I have some iced coffee. Please don't tell on me, but it was from yesterday. Sometimes in the morning, I never thought this would happen to me. I'm thinking of my father-in-law. I never thought this would happen to me. But the first time I met my father-in-law, he brought out coffee for dessert from the refrigerator in a mason jar from that morning. And I was kind of mortified, honestly. But that's what this is. Hello. I'm doing the same thing. So cheers to my father-in-law. Cheers to you, Davy baby, as I sometimes would say. And cheers to this day. Cheers to you and me being back together again, back in the saddle again. Yeah, beautiful, wonderful. Cheers. So good. I like it cold and on ice. That's one thing I always look forward to as the weather gets warmer. Iced coffee. Iced coffee for the win. So today, what are we going to talk about? There are days I come to the podcast and I'm like, everything you could say, I have already said, But wait, there's more. There's always more. Sometimes I hear things on repeat from friends, people I am connected to, family members, clients I see for healing sessions, comments on Instagram. They come together. Things are going on around. A few things are going on that I've been hearing. I don't know if you realize enough that it's a heavy time. That there's a there's a cloak, a heaviness over the world. It carries an impact. I'm not saying this to talk you into being upset. I'm saying this to remind you that We have to factor that in on some level, just like you would factor in on a cold winter's day. You better not go out in a tank top and flip-flops unless you're just going to get the mail quick. If you're taking a long journey, you better put the hat and the gloves. Oh yeah, there. I made my own psychic ding there, friends. You better put the hat and the gloves on and zip up that coat. You know what I'm saying? We have to factor things in. Not because we want to be downers. Listen to that bird. Let me open the window. Hold on. That's our Cardinal Cardi B. Okay, but I won't leave it open the whole time because it is cold out. So I'm just saying, like, you got to remember the state of things. And I'm not saying it to talk you into being sad. I'm saying it to help you remember that it's okay if you're feeling a little less than sparkly. It's more challenging to be upbeat right now. It's okay. It's all right. And it doesn't always mean there's something wrong with you. So this tendency we have to navel gaze, to pick at ourselves, to pick apart our lives, to overanalyze what went wrong or what's going wrong. We take it in because we have egos that make it all about us. And it's important to remember, so I'm saying it, it's important to remember what's going on. And things that help with that is taking your time, being easy on yourself. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to not fight the current. Recently, a friend said to me, I just try and stay busy doing lots of little things, staying busy. And it's like, a whole year of this pandemic, it can be hard to stay busy. And after a while, all that staying busy is really anxiety not being dealt with. It hasn't happened to me that I have completely reorganized and cleaned out my house, or anything like that. But you can do that kind of stuff because you're preventing something from breaking open in you. And it's okay to rest. It's okay to recognize the tendency of fighting the current or staying busy or, keeping up. You know what I'm trying to say to you here? It's okay to take your time. And it's okay to rest. It's okay to rest just because. What if you just rested for no reason? What if you just took it easy for no reason? What if you got back into bed after breakfast sometimes and enjoyed a beautiful book or some music and a cup of tea for no reason? There are days where I notice that we can be busying ourselves into a certain kind of oblivion that leaves us at the end of the day feeling alone and lonely and disconnected and lost and wondering what the hell we're supposed to be doing with our lives. So sometimes I think it's so important to practice allowing yourself just to be here and to allow yourself to take a breath and let things catch up or let things simmer down, however it is for you. Listen to the sounds of nature. Look outside at the trees. Notice what's coming into being again for spring, or if you're on the other side, for autumn. Isn't that funny? Autumn. Some of you are going into autumn. We're going into spring. We are worthy of that time and worthy of figuring out how to allow ourselves to rest and acclimate or adjust or be okay with not always needing to be doing something to stay busy because we don't know what else to do. There's a way that we reward the people who are busy. It's like being busy, working really hard, struggling a lot to get somewhere. These are things that seem to carry our admiration. And maybe I'm not even knocking that really, but it also sets up an unhealthy precedent where when you need to slow down, you can feel stressed out at the thought because the air quotes, see me doing the air quotes, the right way is to keep pressing on. Do you know what I'm saying? The struggle ends up being acknowledged and recognized as important. The suffering and the struggle and the challenge. But it feels super important to me for us to stop rewarding behaviors. Rewarding things like pressing on instead of resting. When you don't feel well, why we don't rest when we're feeling unwell, when you're sick. It seems like sometimes you're never sick enough. It's not okay to take the day off, to stay home. And now in this COVID environment, obviously we're learning, but, there is a way that it's like rest is not okay. And it's really the answer to so many things. It resets the body. It resets the energy field. I used to have a client who would say, I feel beat to shit, but she wore it like a badge of honor. What if we stopped rewarding celebrating ourselves for being overworked, for being stressed out, for being so fraught with things, for going on days with no sleep, or whatever it is, and we started to celebrate our self-care? We waste a lot of time resisting our needs, don't we? We go into some kind of denial. We go into resistance. What would it be like to notice, I want to rest today? I've been handing this spring break thing out to people like a prescription. Why don't you take a spring break? Take 2 weeks off from something. I mean, I didn't take time off of work. That wasn't the point. It was just having freedom from having freedom. Not from anything, just having freedom. Some freedom to lollygag, to do, to be the one who doesn't have to do anything for a change. It's nice. It felt so good. So we learned, I think, to feel guilty about wanting that, about wanting to put ourselves ahead of our needs, ahead of anybody else's, to relax, to enjoy, to not have to always be busy. Like we learned that was lazy. Lazy people do that, but we can unlearn. We can unlearn. We can cherish so much who we are and love ourselves enough to have the kind of experience we would like. And, before the pandemic began, there was a certain kind of celebration going on for the people who were the most, the highest, the richest, the biggest, the busiest, the famousest, the successfulest. And I wonder if we're having an awakening around that now, that a slow living movement is happening, and it's okay. And it's okay to be in balance. You can still cherish your abundance and the work you do in a new way, one that respects and values rest and play just as much, perhaps. You know, we get to write this for ourselves, but we will have to learn how to downshift and adjust and not just keep on keeping on, staying busy for the sake of avoiding the slow. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to practice resting. Sometimes on days where I have a free day, I don't want to get a bunch of stuff done. I don't want to clean out the cabinets and dust all the things. I don't want to run errands. I don't want to pay bills. I don't want to mow the lawn. I don't want to clean the garage. I want to read poetry. I want to make art. I want to do stuff I never share anywhere, just for me. Whatever I want to do. I want to listen to music and putter in my pajamas for the whole day. And when that little gremlin comes, and it will, you should be doing something more important. You should be doing something more worthy. You should be helping someone today. You should be answering your email. You know how that happens. I just keep the perspective. I talk to the gremlin. How can I help you today? Because we're resting. We're having some time off. You know? You can talk to those parts of you. You can work something out together. Maybe you'll still do the dishes and make the dinner. Maybe you'll help a friend, or I don't know what. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. In fact, I do believe the all or nothing is what got us here in the first place. So learning how to work things in a day is kind of a cool skill to have. Get a little work done, get a little rest in. It's all right. But I wanted to tell you it's okay to rest for no reason. And also because there is a heavier time happening. And you can allow yourself to unfurl a bit with all that's happening. So if it's been a funky time, if you've been down or depressed or sad, if it's been struggling to make meaning, I'm hearing all of this right now from friends. If you don't know what the hell is happening in the world, the shootings going on, the lockdowns again, the people burning their masks and refusing to wear them, and it makes you, feel the way you do, or anything else happening for you, because I get it's not a one-size-fits-all. Go with what's been here and real for you. Look, you have two choices. One is you can kind of just be in your head thinking about these things and allowing yourself to get how you get when you do that, and basically fall into that lane of energy. Or you can say to yourself, all right, I'm going through this time. It's a heavy time. I'm observing things in the world, and I don't want to make meaning out of that that's personal about me. I'm going to help myself today. I'm going to tend to what I'm needing. And as Louise Hay would say, look in the mirror. How can I make you happy today? What can I do for you today, beloved? Talk to yourself. See what you need. Yep. And together, we're making our way through. Together. That's what I love about us in our love posse. We're making our way, and this is going to be all right. We're going to be all right. We are. Cheers. I'm going to need more coffee. Well, for inspiration today, I thought I would read you something that I have so been loving. I'm reading a new book, a dear friend sent to me for my birthday. And it's the book of essays by Mary Oliver called Upstream. And I love the inscription so much. Inscription? You know, the message your friend writes to you in the front of the book. This part. I bought this book for me, but after reading the first page, I knew it was for you too, because we are those who still want to get up in the middle of the night and sing. It's beautiful. And Mary mentions that in the very beginning of this book. What a life is ours. Doesn't anybody in the world anymore want to get up in the middle of the night and sing? There's so much I could say about that, you know, the importance of being alive and choosing to be alive and choosing to make your purpose happiness or ease or joy. Or I was telling a client this morning, you know, some days the greatest thing you can do is create the color purple together with a blue friend when you're red and she's blue, and together you make the color purple. That's something. You know, with your love and your attention and your energy, that you together are doing something that's creating wonderment, joy, ease, something. Because each of us has a part in us that is striving for some kind of perfection, some kind of success, some kind of thing other than what we seem to be doing. And that's really the ego's job, you know, to keep us searching, seeking, suffering. And like I said before, this time is really about learning to live into the spaces, the quiet, the stillness, to find simpler joys, to love who you are, to learn that. So this book from Mary Oliver, I have to get my glasses. Wait, hold on. Here they are. This week I enjoyed making tea in the afternoon and laying in bed and reading this book. And, you know, that getting up in the night to sing, that line. Doesn't anybody in the world anymore want to get up in the middle of the night and sing? You know, it's symbolic, or maybe it's a metaphor for being somebody who wants to be wowed by life, who is open to miracles. And I know you're like this too, my friend. To be open to miracles, to be open to the wow of watching a bird stand in. The other day we watched this bird standing in our feeder just eating, and we were looking at all the intricate lines on its feathers. Or the way an opossum came in the night and stood on its back legs and drank from our water bowl that we leave out for the animals. Certain things will wow you. They'll make you want to sing in the middle of the night. They'll make you want to be excited again. And it's so lovely to let ourselves follow those hunches, those things we already know about ourselves, and do that now. It's so important. So, yeah, I wanted to read you this poem from another one of her books, poetry books. And I loved that. Sometimes I tell you, I just open a book like an oracle, and I opened right to this page. Of course, I didn't mark it, so I have to find it. You know how that goes. So this poem, and I'll put these in the show notes if you go to my website, robinhallett.com/129. You will get to these books that I've been mentioning here today. This is from the book House of Lights, Poems by Mary Oliver. This one's called The Ponds. Every year, the lilies are so perfect. I can hardly believe their lapped light crowding the black midsummer ponds. Nobody could count all of them. The muskrats swimming among the pads and the grasses can reach out their muscular arms and touch only so many. They are that rife and wild. But what in this world is perfect? I bend closer and see how this one is clearly lopsided, and that one wears an orange blight, and this one is a glossy cheek, half nibbled away, and that one is a slumped purse, full of its own unstoppable decay. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing, to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing, and that the light is everything, that it is more than the sum of each flawed blossom rising and fading. And I do. It's beautiful. And to me, the willingness to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, is really what we're doing here. I keep getting these reminders of that. And I was reading the book I mentioned, Upstream, and she sometimes quotes some of her poetry. So there was a chunk of this poem in the book. And then, I was so struck by that line, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above the difficult world, You know how when you can be upset about something's gnawing on you, say you have a conflict with someone, or it's one of those harder days where it's harder to believe in your purpose and you're just kind of caught in your upset. Do you have those days, my friend? I know I do. Those are the days where it's harder to be dazzled by the bloated cheek of the lily, but I still want to be. I want to be somebody who can be jogged out of that place of momentary upset. I do. And I love that the reminders come back to me. So I was saying, I texted my friend who bought me the book Upstream, this chunk of the poem, and then the very next morning I cracked another of her books. I have a bunch of Mary Oliver books, and I opened it right to that part of the poem again. I love that. Or, just these little miracles, these little beautiful things that happen to us in a day to affirm that indeed the universe is listening, and it's okay. If you have a longing that you want a simpler life, you want to feel okay inside this pandemic, inside your sometimes depressed experience. A lot of people tell me that's where they're at. Going back to the episode a few times ago, I talked about meaninglessness, and a few people wrote and said, I've even been to the doctor to ask about getting on a medication. And I'm not knocking that. I think we all need to do what works for us. But sometimes we can talk ourselves into such a dire place without realizing that what's really going on is we've sort of locked in focus on one problem and forgotten that we are willing to be dazzled. We're open to being dazzled. We're open to being guided. We're open to being reminded. And we're willing, right? You're willing. So, yeah, that's the inspiration. I hope you allow yourself to grab some books or things you love to do. Sometimes you like to color and listen to music, or while you listen to the podcast here, I hope you are allowing yourself to do the things that feel fun for you, fun and sweet for you. Yeah. Cheers. Cheers. So good. So friends, I like to ask you to support the podcast. This is that part of the show. I am wondering if there's a friend you can send this to today. You can pop the link in a text message or post it to Facebook. Share a little bit about what you liked. Help the word get out. I just really, this time, you know what's going on in this world. And, I believe we can stay in a space of joy and peace and love and healing and growth. And even now, as we're evolving toward the light, toward a greater awareness, whatever is happening, as the stuff is shaken out, and some stuff is falling away and we feel frightened. It's so important to have a place to gather, kind of like a fire to gather around now. And so I hope you can find somebody to tell, or come leave a review, or share it on if you're on social media. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got a nice letter coming up, and I can always use more letters. If you've been wanting to write a letter for the show, even if you want to share your experience about listening or how you're getting through in this time, or I can answer something, write to me at hello@robinhallett.com. Yes. So this letter this week goes out to you, Allison. Thank you so much for writing. Here we go. Hi, Robin. For years, I've been working through the major issue of holding firm and trusting in myself, rather than relying or needing or hoping for approval of those closest around me. I am getting stronger in this, and I am proud of my progress and increasing self-assurance. However, despite not seeking this approval, what is your advice for when someone closest to me, husband, explicitly and often projects his disapproval of what I am doing, what I like, who I am? My first instinct is to get defensive or protective of what I am trying to cultivate, just like protecting a growing plant. Although I'm also trying to work on letting him have his own opinion. However, is this relationship incompatible with my self-growth and development? In other words, why does it have to be so hard? To be clear, I love him very much, but sometimes the lack of support and understanding when I feel at my most vulnerable can be hard to bear and feels antithetical to what I'm seeking to achieve. Thank you. Thank you too, Allison. I appreciate it. I appreciate this letter so much. Our work to get free, our work to listen to our own knowing, to keep going in a world that's always trying to change us, to be true to ourselves. It's big, big work. And when it comes to people you love, people you're in love with, you're married to, you're dating, whatever, I mean, whoa. And also just close friends, family, you know how it is. The stakes are even higher. But actually, it almost doesn't matter who it is when this kind of friction happens. It's always challenging. And I'll just say as a disclaimer, I'm not saying all of this to Allison. I'm thinking of lots of things that are coming to me in the moment and the intuitive hits I get. And it's not all directed to the person who writes the letter. Yeah. Okay, good. To be yourself is very, very important. And it's important to begin to recognize that we are, even though we're working on seeking our own approval, we are always seeking approval of the people we love. We want to know that they like the way we do it. I do feel from an early age, the thing we desired most was to have the people around us get us and love us and say, I like the way you do it. I like it. And, you know, that deep drive to do it the way the people around us do it so we fit in and there's a gel, you know, that was important. But most often we were scared into that kind of stuff, shamed into it, judged into it, made fun of into it. You know what I'm saying? We were teased, we were cajoled, we were disapproved of. We got the face, we got the look, we got the head shake, we got the silent treatment. So there's got to be this deep, deep reverence for how far you've carried this need to be approved of. Does that make sense? It's like the depth we have been to fit in, to belong, to be loved. It's big, big work. And for me anyway, if it takes the rest of my life to learn how to relish more deeply every day my own approval of myself, okay, game on, I'm in, you know, it's on. I wonder if you have had the vulnerable conversation with your husband. I wonder if you've had an opportunity to bring it up and to share how it makes you feel. Not in a moment of anger or pushback or retaliation in the moment of like, hey, you know, don't do that. I hate it when you do that. You know, that doesn't count. If you've ever had a reaction, it's completely understandable. It's natural. These things burst up in us because we don't like it. So I wonder if you've had a conversation because you are trying to cultivate something and you do feel protective of it. So I suggest that you attempt a vulnerable conversation about what you notice happening. Speak from the I notice that when let's say you're taking up the kazoo or you're trying watercolor or I don't know what it is you're referring to here, but let's say you're doing your thing. I notice that when I'm doing my thing, I see, it looks to me like, talk about it. Talk about your experience. Speak from your heart. If you have, ask him to share back with you what he heard you say. If you have something you want to check out without assuming, check it out. If you have a request for something, make your request and, be patient with each other. These are hot button things. There's so much flying under the radar that we don't know. We aren't aware of what we're bringing into it, like the unconscious expectation of being rejected or made fun of or disapproved of because it has happened before. And also, sometimes we learn to do certain behaviors. Like two people, it's very possible, never witnessed their own parents have an adult conversation about things like this. never heard about it happening. And the predominant way things got handled was one parent made faces at the other parent. Think about the way it was modeled to you. These kinds of things were handled because patterns repeat, and historic patterns, family lineage patterns repeat. So maybe how we handle differences of opinion, maybe we handle conflict, we learned that and we can unlearn it. This is slightly off topic, but I remember being very young and my grandma enlisting my help in doing funny things to my grandpa while he was napping. And later, as an adult, I realized these were little passive-aggressive acts that, as a kid, I didn't know that's what we were doing. I didn't know that this was one major way some of the energy was addressed in their marriage. So we might think about that and consider we don't always realize what's happening and what we're being taught. So this is an opportunity to really sit with what did I learn? How did things go for me as a kid watching? How did I see relationships, the primary relationships in my life handle stuff like this? And how would I like this to go? Relationship is a thing where we can't always come to this quick place of, are we really incompatible? Maybe we're incompatible. Of course it's possible, but at this point, you're here and there's so much learning. So I encourage you to sit with, how can I let my needs be known? How can I learn how to do what I want anyway? This is a great teacher. People who explicitly projects the disapproval of what we're doing, they're really giving us an opportunity to learn to be who we are, to know ourselves. And it's interesting, just before this segment, I went to get a cup of tea. Yogi tea has those little sayings on it. I just took a picture of it because I thought it was interesting. It said, the purpose of life is to know yourself and love yourself and trust yourself and be yourself. And, that's it. If he's helping you do that, that's excellent. I think you have to confront him, tell him, confront him, sit down and let him know. And ask him if he can reasonably be counted on to work on this stuff. Because it's a deal breaker for you. It's okay to take your relationship to that level by speaking up. Sometimes I think as spiritual peepers like us, we think, I'll take the high road. I won't say anything. I'll respect where he's at. Well, sometimes we need to push back. That is the work, is to say, no, you don't do that. It's okay that you feel that way, but this is me and what I'm doing and my life, as it comes to you. So I encourage you to speak up. And also, I love that you said you're working on letting him have his own reaction, because people do have reactions to us. I have reactions. I think about number one husband. I have reactions. It's a lot different now, 26 years, 27 years. It's a lot different now, but probably the first 10 years we were married, I was a big pain in the arse. I am sure of that. I don't even have to get him to come here and tell you yes. I had a lot of opinions and a lot of reactions, and he was a gem to talk to me about it. And sometimes we went to counseling about it, and I had to learn. Some people are just easily, like disturbed by what other people are doing. And they don't know how to rest or relax if they feel like the other person is not doing it the right way. And that's a codependent behavior learned early on. And so this is one of those healing experiences for both of you. You know, you love each other, you're together. Make this work. You can. And show up more fierce than you already do and speak your truth. And if you have to write it in a letter, write it in a letter, but get it out, speak it out. And keep an eye open for the part of you who's expecting to be disapproved of. She needs so much love, and we do sometimes create experiences where there's no option but to be disapproved of. So I'm not, again, this is for all of us. It's just feedback for everybody. Look at how we expect it to happen, and we kind of help create the conditions as well. I see myself in everything I'm saying. So, and lastly, what an amazing being you are. What an amazing soul you are to know this much about yourself. This self-awareness is excellent. Be proud of yourself. So remember to be willing to be dazzled, by your own growth and your own learning curves, and extend that courtesy to your husband as well. You have things to teach him. Neither of you is always right, and it's a beautiful thing to see that. So I hope that serves you. I thank you so much for this beautiful letter. And friends, I encourage you, if I can read one for you, please do. Email me or text me on Instagram, direct messaging. Mention it's for the podcast so I know. Cheers. All the links you need are below this podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, they're all there. iTunes, I think it just gives you, it says visit website. You'll get to all those links I'm mentioning. Okay? Well, friends, that wraps episode 129. It's in the can. It's beautiful. I had a good time talking to you. It's good to be back with you. And I guess that wraps. It's 4 p.m. Another healing session this afternoon. And then I'm going to put my rain boots on and go clomp around in the fields and look for what's new in the spring meadow of my backyard, out at the park. Just take myself on a wee adventure. I'm sending my love to you wherever you're at right now, in your heart, in your day, in your pandemic experience, whatever is happening. You are precious cargo. Be so good and kind to you. Okay? Yes. Good. I will see you here next time or in a few minutes if you like to binge. Listen. This is me, Robin, willing to be dazzled, Hallett, and I'm going to see you here next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I like that. I love it, honey. Thank you. Give me a kiss. Thanks.